Well, it's 2021. Let's see if the world's gotten any better.
Global warming, it's still happening.
Faced himself in the balls repeatedly in
Isn't it insane that World of Warcraft is an esport? Like, WoW was conceived as just like D&D you can play. You roll a rogue and like sneak around like, you know, picking locks and stabbing people. Warlocks just use dark magic to suck the life force from their enemies. Real dweeb shit. It wasn't weird that WoW had PvP. Faction conflict, after all, was the USP of Warcraft. What is strange is that a 16-year-old MMO that was built for dial-up internet has compelling PvP. That line was not well written. I don't know who fucking wrote that.
It wasn't planned. WoW released with almost none of what we now recognise as core PvP systems. Diminishing returns didn't exist for the first 5 months. Battlegrounds took 7 months to be introduced. The PvP we know today was sculpted after the game launched. This esport wasn't planned, but it wasn't an accident. It was the result of a lot of hard work from a lot of people over the course of the game's life.
But there's disorder to it, right? Like, it's wild to me that it was Arena and not Battlegrounds that took off as the esport. WoW, after all, is an MMO, so why wouldn't you focus on the 10-player, the 40-player content? Can you imagine BlizzCon with 40-man AV pre-mades battling to be the best in the world?
It seems almost antithetical to the very idea of an MMO, that the small 3-player deathmatch mode would be the main event. There's a lot of that sort of thing. Cruft that is so entrenched in the design that it's impossible to clean out.
But that's part of what I love about it. It's so unlike anything else out there. Nothing gives you quite what Arena gives you.
The Arena World Championship is Blizzard's premier arena tournament. Tournaments are played throughout the year before, usually bringing the best players in the world together at BlizzCon to crown a world champion. Having been around in some form since 2008, it is among the longest running esports events, and winning BlizzCon is the Everest of WoW PvP.
Though, if I'm honest, it was a hard watch in 2008.
Set there actually. So heavy then on Care Koala. So let's see how he handles this situation. And he goes very, very low at the moment.
Hamstring, really low on health right now. Uses his quick heal nature swiftness and goes down to 2007 execute.
The whole exercise felt very stilted for the first few years. The commentators were also the ones who cued the games and controlled the camera, while calling the game, for instance. Over the next few years, the commentators would start wearing suits, they got nicer desks, the quality of the whole production increased, and high-definition live streams became the norm.
Engagement with the AWC kept growing as streaming and BlizzCon just got bigger and bigger each year.
The thing that really bugs me about these early years is the UI design. Pretty much every single BlizzCon updated the spectator UI, but they all shared the same design principles and thus the same issues. None of these designs allow you to follow an arena game as it is actually played. Arena is about macro concepts like cooldown management, setups, and positioning, and these UI designs ignore all these components to some extent. They show health bars and buffs. And I get it, right? Cooldowns are ugly and inaccessible. They require an intense knowledge of the game to design for, like what rogue cooldowns do you track, for instance. And they ask a lot of the viewer, throwing information at them without any context. By stripping information from the UI, Arena is made more accessible, but not as it actually exists. Stripped of context, it becomes something different. It becomes incomprehensible noise, something exciting that evokes the feel of an esport without the substance that actual players would need to follow the game. In short, the early AWC reduced Arena to a novelty for normies at BlizzCon, presenting the spectacle of Arena, but stopping short of scaring people with the actual meat of the game mode. You could make an argument that this was harmful because it turned Arena into a black box. It wasn't something you or I could do, only the absolute best players could even understand what was happening. But it had its moments. It is BlizzCon 2011. The reveal of Miss Pandaria has divided the WoW community, and Blizzard released a full trailer for Blizzard Dota, which I'm sure will be out any day now. But over at the esports stage, we're about to witness something very special. BlizzCon 2011 is unique in AWC history. It will be the only World Championship to take place on the Cataclysm expansion. 10 teams qualify for BlizzCon, including the South Korean runners-up OMG. They play Hunter, Death Knight, Holy Paladin as their only composition. At this time, Hunters were considered pretty weak, and OMG are the only team to bring a Hunter to the tournament. There is a sense that OMG are making up the numbers. They're a novelty who will bow out early. But to the surprise of most, they keep winning games, and they make it all the way to the semi-finals against the EU champions. But no one is shocked when Yaz Presents takes the first 2 maps. OMG is down 2-0. They fight back on their favourite map, Ring of Valor, and take a win, before equalising with a 50-second win on Dalaran Sewers.
Already having to IBF so much damage out straight from the start. And look at that, strangulate onto Glyptic, and there we go, there comes the Necrotic Strike.
This is how PhD shines right now. Short, aggression-based games, stringing long CC chains on the healer with huge burst on long cooldowns. The PhD is fragile, so they need to trade cooldowns aggressively. The longer the game goes, the worse their odds. In a tournament where maps are chosen at random, OMG gets lucky. The final game is to be played on Ring of Valor.
Guess what map it is? The Ring of Valor is going to be the deciding. Oh yeah, you guys like this.
In what is arguably their best game of the tournament, OMG overwhelmed the EU champions and take the series. It is an incredible achievement that no one expected from the runners-up of a second-tier competition. They have qualified for the grand final against the US champions, Skillcapped. Skillcapped is playing Mage Lock Holy Paladin. OMG take the first game on the favourable map of Ruins of Lordaeron, and Game 2 devolves into a 1v1 with OMG barely taking it. They are one win away from winning BlizzCon.
He's in trouble! No help, Stone! No, Snuts is gonna go down! Oh! Yeah, puts it in. What an effort! What an effort by Snuts!
With his back against the wall, Snuts is called from the audience. It's Reckful, who is at the height of his WoW celebrity at this point. Reckful says a few words to Snuts. No one knows what.
You know what I want to know, Vihel?
What?
What did Reckful say to Snuts?
The intensity of Game 3 has the entire crowd on edge.
Bank on right
Yeah,
there.
Snuts so low with that
with the bop.
Oh, Snuts jumping dangerously low before he portals back to
He
safety.
has to find his paladin right now because he's gonna have pets on him.
I use the
Snuts
term
needs
safety
help.
so loosely right
Chose
now.
his silencer
Take
now.
the hell, this could be the
Take the
very
help. He
end
needs to be healed
for
up, and there he
Skillcapped.
goes. 30. That's really low.
Yeah.
Gucci's trying to heal him, and now Jung Yup feigned as Pooks.
Skillcapped pivots from focus setups on a kill target to multi-dotting chaos. They switch targets constantly and pillage OMG of all their cooldowns. Anyone on OMG can die. They get close, but in less than 3 minutes, OMG are out of cooldowns and their Death Knight goes down.
This sleeping is in trouble. HRJ on Gucci. Pooks also taking damage.
Game 4 sees both teams take a more passive strategy. OMG don't feel confident committing to aggression, and Skillcapped know that defense will win them the game.
It's amazing. Both teams playing so passively because they want to wait for the other team to commit.
After 5.5 minutes, Skillcapped get a good swap to Gucci and kill him, leveling the series.
Got stunned. Barely in his turn. Damage. Where's the
OMG has played really well, but there is a growing sense that Skillcapped has solved them, that the Hunter gimmick has run its course.
And now their backs, their backs aren't really to the wall, they're in even footing.
OMG is dealt another blow when Dalaran Sewers is selected as the final map. Ring of Valor will not rescue them. From the very start of the round, OMG look like a beaten team. They are hiding behind a pillar and playing very passively, getting isolated and rotting down. Gucci's positioning makes their approach clear. Gucci is very safe from the enemy team, but he's anchored his DPS to the pillar. If they leave, Gucci needs about 10 seconds to get up the stairs to reach his teammates. As strong a defensive position as this is, it is entirely passive, and one bad fear path can be disastrous.
Boxes while Gucci is sitting on the bottom. He's going back over to
And
stairs
this is what's
right now.
dangerous, but playing at the bottom is now when your player is feared away, you've got to make a very fast move.
As the minutes tick by, OMG are getting cooldowns from Skillcapped, but the situation is deteriorating. As the game enters its 6th minute, the commentators speculate that OMG surely can't survive much longer.
Honestly, this match can't go on much longer. PHDK, not known for its longevity.
It comes to a head in the 8th minute as OMG find themselves exposed on the stairs. Their entire team is dying, and Gucci can only keep his team alive for a few more seconds. Rather than peeling or running, OMG roll the dice on one last stun and silence onto the healer, and commit to killing Pooks.
Cooldowns out of this guy, and he is
Well, they are.
not
There
giving
we
an
go.
inch.
Okay, right now, but Pooks has to live through this.
Yep, Pooks
As he's got 1,300 hit points.
can they convert it on to sleeping?
Gucci finishes the game completely tapped on mana. Snuts drops his head into his arms, shattered. It is an unprecedented achievement. Never before or since would a team outside the US or EU win the World Championship. OMG completely changed their strategy to win in the 8th minute, to win on a map they didn't like, with a comp that no one took seriously. They came from seemingly nowhere to steal the entire event, and disappeared as quickly as they arrived. They would never participate in the AWC again. Never again would a composition as aggressive or off the wall as PhD win BlizzCon. Because the players make so few mistakes, and play so safe due to the stakes, BlizzCon overwhelmingly rewards dampening compositions. OMG was something special. The 2012 AWC would be decided by a draw, with damage figures being tallied up to declare a victor.
Oh, all right. Do believe we have hit the 20-minute time limit. Wow. Oh,
It looks like Snuts.
wait. Is that it? Could it be it?
I think that's it,
It
man.
is it?
After several years, the AWC began to feel stagnant, at least to my eye. With only 3 tournaments a year, its footprint was too small to compete with the booming esports of other online titles. Tons of arena games were being played, but only a handful would be broadcast.
In 2008, WoW was ahead of the esports curve, but by 2014, it had fallen behind, repeating the same event year on year. It was like clockwork. But the game was still healthy. Mrs. Pandaria is a fan favorite among the PvP community, so the AWC had experienced 6 years of successful tournaments.
BlizzCon 2014 was held just a week before Warlords of Draenor would be released. It was played on MOP servers after the WoD pre-patch had been out for weeks. It came at the tail end of a 14-month content drought and had the most minimal UI of the lot. For me, it is the low point of the AWC for no other reason than that it wasn't interesting. And then we hit 2015, Warlords of Draenor. We can, and one day will, talk endlessly about the problems with WoD, but the issue I face right now is that WoD PvP has been rehabilitated from half a decade of nostalgia. People misremember it, and now think of it as better than it actually was. So please, allow me to refresh you like that one bit in Death Note. WoD was the first expansion to prune abilities. It wasn't a redesign, it was an explicit pruning of the mob kits. This left weird blind spots. For instance, Survival Hunters had no offensive cooldown or execute. Their bang was Murder of Crows and Badge. Ashran was the center of all PvP. I can't really distill Ashran down into just one thing. Was it 3-hour stalemates? Was it entirely PvE? Was it win trading for the weekly quest? Was it massive queues and server hopping? Was it all of the above plus more? WoD was the expansion where botting and hacking was its most prominent. This was when full bot BGs were a thing, and fly hacking and kickbots were their most brazen.
Both teams are bots! What? Timeout. Look at this shit. Both teams are bots.
WoD was the expansion with 2 tiers. It was the expansion where a major content patch had nothing but Twitter integration and a toy to encourage interaction with the Twitter integration.
I can't speak to the experiences of players on big servers, but my experience with WoD was an overwhelmingly dead game. My servers were dead to the point that I had to truly reckon with the frailty of Warcraft. I had to process that WoW would not be forever. WoD felt like an ending. Competitive games can flare out really easily because poor queue times create the perception of a dying game, which will cause players to look elsewhere, worsening queue times for the remaining players. I don't need to explain this. You've seen this before. It's cyclical. Sometimes even the rumor of players leaving can manifest this into existence. Competitive PvP in WoD should have died outright, and perhaps never fully recover.
But something strange happened. Something miraculous.
In early 2015, a little Twitch channel started up called GCD TV. It was like 4 people in their bedrooms holding small weekly arena tournaments.
They were open entry, anyone could join. You know, you can't be picky when you're just starting out.
How am I even a commentator? Like, wow. Alright. Okay, so it looks like, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Midget actually blowing his up.
The first few weeks were a difficult watch, but by week 7, GCD had hit on the idea of publicly crowdfunding prize pools. Any money raised from the event would go towards future prize pools to incentivize participation. This meant that for viewers, donating to the event was a form of investment. Your money would support the players, and that ever-increasing prize pool tempts serious players to get involved. By week 10, we can see the fruits of their labor. Here is a random game from early in the day, which features 5 names you should recognize, and 1 4-time rank 1. Oh, and fucking Goreki is on the bench.
GCD got legit really quickly, and part of that meant finding their own solutions to the problems with Arena.
As we covered, the AWC Spectator UI was focused on a broad audience. Not wanting to overload congoers with info, they instead went with too little. This meant that a serious PvPer couldn't follow the game as it is actually played, because the crucial information just isn't there. GCD used a third-party add-on to perform their spectating, called Arena Live. The creators of this mod took a different direction, instead emphasizing cooldowns and inputs. This allowed both commentators and viewers to engage with Arena as they do in-game, centering cooldown management and other dweeby shit.
Metaphor's doing an excellent job saving his trinket. He knows he's going to need it for when Celestial Alignment comes up, which is around 2 seconds. So Asper and Majidin both have their major offensive cooldowns ready to go.
This helps sell Arena as an esport to its core audience, rather than selling it as a disposable novelty to a mainstream audience.
The mod had a few weird edge cases, but it was a big step toward GCD offering a better core experience for enthusiasts than Blizzard had been providing.
More importantly, GCD's weekly format meant that Arena became a weekly spectacle. Gone was the 3-a-year tournament structure of the AWC. GCD looked to get Arena in front of eyeballs year-round.
And it became a nursery for production talent, most visibly with the commentators. Venruki, Super Tees, and Healingstat all started out commentating for GCD before being picked up by Blizzard for the AWC. Multi-classing in the AWC was getting more popular, but there was no framework for dealing with it. With only 3 players to a team, it was assumed that you were like OMG, you played a class in a composition. If a team did make a change, the enemy team, the commentators, and the viewers found out about it when the teams loaded in.
It's going to be the comp swap, and Skillcap DU going to be playing the mirror here against Push Push. They're going to be going up against it. Zunyaki will be making the swap to the Warrior.
By 2015, with nothing else to fucking do in WoD, players began to take multiclassing really seriously, and it was GCD that had to figure out how to handle that, and they ended up encouraging it in their tournaments.
First, they allowed a fourth member onto the teams to act as a substitute. Subbing in the fourth player could add comp diversity without needing to multiclass. But if even one player could multiclass, you could suddenly create wildly different compositions. A Walking Dead could become MLD and completely change their strategy. This opened up a whole new element to Arena that wasn't really explored before: counter-comping. Instances of hard countering were mitigated, and players were rewarded for being able to play a variety of different classes and comps. And GCD would use this information on the other team's comp as a balancing force. When the team won a round, the team that lost would be given the opportunity to counterpick.
GCD solved a bunch of problems that plagued the AWC. They cultivated new talent and unlocked new aspects of competitive play, all while producing magnitudes more content than Blizzard had provided.
All of this meant that while the PvP scene ought to have been dead, there was a blip. There was something new and exciting happening.
Even by BlizzCon 2015, the same year GCD was created, we can see Blizzard implementing elements of GCD's work into the AWC.
Moving on from there, however, the team that lost on the Grand Arena will be able to first declare the map that they would like to play on, at which point the winning team will declare the composition that they're going to play, and the losing team has the opportunity to pick into that winning team's comp declaration, sort of get the chance to counter comp a little bit.
GCD was so successful in cultivating WoW as an esport that in 2016 Blizzard threw up their hands and said, fuck it, they can do it, and hired the GCD people to run the AWC.
The 2016 AWC incorporated GCD's approach to map and comp selection, but took them from off-camera to center stage. They had a structured rule set and fancy UI elements. It became a critical part of the game, like a MOBA's draft phase. This paired with an update to the UI that has stood the test of time. This UI is a blend of the two extremes we've seen, keeping a minimal aesthetic but incorporating major cooldowns for each player. Subtle but important changes also include the inclusion of nameplates, targeting circles, and wide spectator cameras that help make sense of the visual noise on the screen. Legion had so much energy behind it, and this new format and production gave the 2016 AWC a really fresh feel. It was a much-watch event.
This is the highest intensity match I think I've seen at any BlizzCon ever up to this point. Both teams coming down to that Game 7. All right, you have to give this team your energy. This is Game 7. This is for everything.
It is match point of the 2016 AWC Grand Final. The winner of this map takes the event.
Completely alone. Botar Swapsy looking to finish the job. Stun on Bisou. Snuts is barely hanging on. He could easily just go down. He's so fragile in this position.
Yeah, but Method have won the game. If they can just stay alive here, Snuts just needs to live a few more seconds.
He's right. You can see that Botar has no meaningful defensive cooldowns available, and Bean's Incarnation will be up at any moment. Incarn is one of the most dangerous abilities in the game right now. If Method can set it up right, Botar's night is over. Botar tries to pull back and utilize the gateway, but Method pull the trigger on their setup. Both DPS are feared on the opposite side of the map. The Incarnation, Avenging Crusader, and Void Eruption are all committed. With nothing but Holy Avenger, Botar would need perfect peels, but the fear has left him completely isolated. It is a perfect setup. Method has done everything right to win BlizzCon.
So many upfields from Swansea. They're desperately trying to get the game. They're gonna win BlizzCon. Botar is going to pull. Surely he's able to get a bind.
Fabs makes it over in time to throw a triple stun Inferno and fear Bean as Botar takes the gateway. It's an incredible sight, but Bean is able to reconnect with Botar still at 20% health. With Incarn still up, it seems like Botar's escape won't mean anything.
Botar is going to pull. Surely he's able to get a bind pillar. The Incarnation's still up. Down to 10%. Here's Bubble in 7 seconds. Botar lives, and so do Splice's dreams.
Silence on the Botar. They're still looking to finish him. Botar reverses it with the Avenging Crusader. Now Zeno. Zeno has nothing. Both Paladins are on the rope. Are they going to pull this off? Botar's not able to dispel, but he uses his bubble. He will be safe inside of that. Now Zeno is in trouble. Bloodlust gets popped. And Splice are looking to turn this around. Implosion connects. Zeno's barely hanging on. This is insane, but Splice are going to take it. The two-time champions.
Having committed his own Avenging Crusader to kill Botar, it is now Sea-Doo without any defensives. Once Botar is stabilized, Splice pop Bloodlust. Now defenseless, Sea-Doo goes down. Splice has stolen BlizzCon. Arena is really intense, but ultimately it's a numbers game. It's nerd shit. If the math isn't in your favor, no amount of guts will save you on the BlizzCon stage. And yet when we watch this clip, the math doesn't check out. Botar survived with only his weakest cooldowns. We can look under the hood and maybe find some reason Botar survived. Maybe Bean didn't get a single crit with his Incarn, or Snuts didn't have his dots up before the go. But for our purposes, it's easier to call it as it appears. It is a miracle. It is the most spectacular performance by a healer at BlizzCon ever. In 2017, the AWC increased massively in scope. The structure was a lot more in line with the GCD. It ran several smaller cups aimed to have some sort of official event every week. These cups were played online but broadcast out of a studio, giving a professional vibe to the whole exercise. The cups, like GCD, were open entry. Anyone who wanted to participate could sign up. This was a far cry from the exclusive club of the AWC years of old.
I participated in a few of the 2019 ANZ Cups. I went like 0 and 9, 0 and 12, I can't remember. But what matters is I had a great time and I would absolutely recommend it to anyone who wants to give it a go.
This was while I was 2.2 and feeling like I was plateauing. We signed up to the AWC just for a bit of fun. A few hours before the first cup, we got asked to scrim by Featherfeet, 6-0 and Cheesy Nachos. One was a rank 1 Warlock, and the other two would get rank 1 as Rogue Mage later that season. Anyway, the healer got disqualified, and Featherfeet needed to learn how to play a Resto Druid for that night, and just needed games. So they asked us to play.
What followed was about 2 hours of baby 2.2 choice going up against a world-class Rogue Mage with a Resto Druid learning his keybinds. We were playing BM Cupid in Season 2 of BFA, so Rogue Mage was supposed to own us, not a hard counter, but a very unfavourable matchup. I want to say it was like Goku and Gohan in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, but it was closer to the first act of Gohan vs. Cell. But as the games went on, we got better and better at surviving and predicting their goes, and eventually, I'd say we were genuinely pretty competitive. I think we even beat them once by killing their Resto Druid, obviously. That was a huge deal for me. That night taught me that I wasn't hard stuck at 2200, that I had the ability to match these amazing players on my best day. Okay, maybe not match, but at the very least I could handle a 2200 Arm Palom ladder.
The point is, good players have incentives to scrim with you on the tournament realm, and that opportunity can be terrific. And for the actual tournament, having Super Tees or whoever be contractually obligated to say you played well is really funny, especially when you get owned, speaking from experience on that one. The 2017 and 2018 AWC brought 12 teams to BlizzCon, the most in the competition's history. In 2019 we saw the event wound back somewhat, no doubt a reflection of diminishing interest caused by BFA kinda not capturing the imagination of PvP as the world over, we'll say. That was the year we had the prize pool drama, which was a whole ordeal. The short version is a Blizzard ran a promotion to raise money for their esports prize pool, selling in-game toys, akin to Valve's Battle Pass effort. The difference was that they set a minimum guaranteed threshold, not guaranteeing their own contribution. Blizzard ended up committing nothing to the prize pools, and players had only a small increase in prize money to show for a huge community-driven effort to pump up that figure. The AWC had a particularly rough time in 2020, needing to deal with a plague upon our nation: corruption. Corruption caused such havoc on the balance of PvP that BFA Season 4 could itself be divided into like half a dozen sub-seasons based on the precise nature of corruption at the time.
And then there was the comparatively minor problem of the global pandemic. The latency involved in online games meant that it was impossible to fairly host a global tournament, so the decision was made to expand each regional branch into a full circuit.
It was a rational decision and a fair compromise, though the event didn't have the spark we're used to. The NA-EU rivalry fuels so much of the interest in the AWC. Between its absence, the unpopularity of BFA, and corruption, the 2020 AWC was missable. The 2021 AWC will also be remote, but despite that, I am really excited for it. Shadowlands has energized Arena unlike anything I've seen before. Big name players are vocally enjoying themselves. Like, I've never seen Dylan claim to enjoy Warcraft. It's just a thing he would do to pass the time. So to be honest, as I sit here, world burning just outside, the familiarity of the AWC with just a tinge of danger is what I really need right now. Because this year's AWC is a complete toss-up. Will it be a gimmick tournament of cheese claps, or will the burst be snuffed out by the dampeners? Will I get to see Venruki force a smile after a no-name protection paladin knocks out Cloud9? Will there be any tuning before the AWC kicks off?
No one can say, and that's really exciting.
There's very few instances in life where this reaction is reasonable. Sport, be it physical or virtual, creates a space where people are allowed to care this much. In sport, we get to see something, anything, performed to its absolute pinnacle by people who have devoted their life to honing their craft. And they invite us to share that with them, and to share in the highs and lows. We endure this to give this meaning. We carve out a fiction within reality, a place where the rules are fixed and nuance is checked at the door. Sport allows us to tell stories with a beginning, middle, and end, with real people as the characters. The only way to feel what these people are feeling is to be there, and to care as they do. Because the stories aren't done being written. Individual characters or arcs may come and go, but history marches on. The book is never finished. Unless, of course, Blizzard should cancel the whole thing, which is always a possibility.
your best joke?
NA WoW.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
And Bloodlust on Benruki drops down to half. Wow, and down goes Benruki. Headshot, and that'll do it.
Next play is coming out from our German friend. We do see.
He's in battle! He's in battle! Joe Fernandez!
Force the trinket! Dog meat! He stays alive with the temp shield! What is going on? How is he still in this
How
game?
is he still
They're trying to
alive?
go for the...
This is definitely it. There's a full Hodge coming in. All damage is being popped right now. Wraith walk. No follow-up. Where is the fucking follow-up?
Big chunk of damage coming in from losing that talent. Now Chad's getting swapped to. Big bash, big one shot attempt.
Oh
Right,
my
9.